And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead which were in them, and they were judged, every one of them according to their deeds. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire. Revelation 20:13. Greetings, mortals. I'm your host Simon. You are tuning in to the Library of Gnosis. Welcome back, Ken. The first Bible, the Septuagint, was created in Alexandria, commissioned by the Ptolemies. The modern Bible as we know it today was originally written in Koine Greek, so it should come as no surprise that the Bible would have similar wording as those in Greek mythology. And death and Hades gave up the dead which were in them. Hades in Greek mythology is both a name for the chthonic or underworld realm and the name of the god that rules it. Isn't it strange that a name from Greek mythology would show up in the Christian Bible? This leads me to believe that Christianity is actually just a continuation of the pagan solar worship. According to the New Testament, in the waning moments of his life, Jesus cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" In the Gospel of Mark, these are Jesus' final words. This cry of desolation, as it is known, is painful to read and theologically difficult to manage. But one important ancient copy of Mark, the Codex Bobiensis, has a different take entirely. In the oldest surviving Latin Gospel, Jesus seems to call out to the sun god Helios instead. I have previously made a video on Jesus as the sun if you want to go further into researching that. Now, I have tried tying together the ancient pagan religion into Christianity by proposing the claim that Hermes, or Enoch, is actually Jesus. But, as you can see, there is also some evidence in scripture themselves that Christianity is just a continuation of ancient solar worship. And more than just solar worship, it seems to involve a lot more characters. I mean, who are the Elohim? It seems to match up with the divine council of the gods from all the ancient religions of old. This is my logo I use for the channel. As some of you might perhaps have noticed, there is a cross in the background. But this is actually not a Christian cross, but an ancient pagan symbol known as a sun wheel. It seems to me that there has been a marked effort by powerful individuals to hide the polytheism of the old Bible, and to promote a monotheistic worldview. In my mind, there really is no difference. There is still just one high god, and to me it matters very little if you call the rest of the Elohim gods or angels. It is pretty clear to me that the biblical Noah story draws heavily upon older Sumerian stories, where there were many gods involved. And in the apocryphal Book of Giants, a giant by the name of Gilgamesh even appears, which is of course also mentioned in the Sumerian kings list. This actually gets us into the area of the Prisca Theologia, which asserts that a single, true theology exists which threads through all religions, and which was anciently given by God to humans. There is a wonderfully short Wikipedia article on the subject that I think summarizes it well. Quote, "The term Prisca Theologia appears to have been first used by Marsilio Ficino in the 15th century. Ficino and Giovanni Pico endeavored to reform the teachings of the Catholic Church by means of the writings of the Prisca Theologia, which they believed was reflected in Neoplatonism, Hermeticism, and the Chaldean oracles, among other sources. Ficino saw himself as one member of a venerable sequence of interpreters who added to a store of wisdom that God allowed progressively to unfold. Each one of these Prisci Theologi, or ancient theologians, had his part to play in discovering documenting and elaborating the truth contained in the writings of Plato and other ancient sages. A truth to which these sages may not have been fully privy, acting as they were as vessels of divine truth. Prisca Theologia is distinguishable from the related concept of the perennial philosophy, although some inadvertently use the two terms interchangeably. An essential difference is that the Prisca Theologia is understood as existing in pure form only in ancient times, and has undergone a process of a continuous decline and dilution throughout modern times. In other words, the oldest religious principles and practices are held to be, in some sense, the purest. The perennial philosophy theory does not make this stipulation and merely asserts that the true religion periodically manifests itself in different times, places, and forms. Both concepts, however, do suppose that there is such a thing as the true religion, and tend to agree on the basic characteristics associated with them. I believe this is what I've been getting at by approaching the Bible as part of a long and rich history of contact with higher beings. I can't tell you what the true religion is, but I believe that the ancient mystery schools, like for instance Rosicrucianism, which holds the doctrine of a Prisca Theologia, might be able to tell us more about the subject. I so happen to also be a member of a morgue, so I guess in a way they are doing that through me. Anyways, a really interesting area of study. I think I want to create a more in-depth video on the topic of the perennial philosophy in the future, but this has been a start. Please leave a comment below. Love reading your comments. If you want to support my work and get access to all my written materials, then you can find me on Patreon. Thanks for watching, mortals.